Hello, this is Medicine Ukraine, Odesa, and our briefing is focused on the preparation of Odesa region schools to start their lessons on the 1st of September. Oleksandr Lonchak will speak about the condition of the schools, the head of Education Department of Odesa Military Administration. Thank you for invitation. Hello, dear Odesa region residents. As soon as tomorrow, our schools will kickstart 2023-2024 academic year. Unfortunately, same as last year, we will work amid the wartime. So the priority of our work is to create safe environmental environment. This issue is as important to the second year in the row. Also, the quality of educational services and overcoming the educational gap are also important. During the preparation of the new academic year, we used the experience of the previous year. It helped us to take measures to create the safe and secure conditions for all education process participants. Almost 1,700 educational institutions are ready to start the new year. All the educational institutions were audited by the representatives of National Police, Emergency Service, and Consumer Protection Services. The number of institutions that use the shelters or use the shelters nearby increased by 325 and amounts to 1,267. Almost half a thousand of them are the preschool institutions. 270 students will start the academic year in general school institutions. The first year students amount to 21,667. Among them, 6,800 are IDPs. While preparing for the new academic year, we use the efforts of local and national authorities and funding from local and national budgets. We planned to create reconstruction and refurbishing works amounted to over 700 million of hryvnias in over 200 objects. As of now, the shelters are equipped in almost 100 institutions, but there is still refurbishing and equipment work on several shelters because it takes more time, because it is more about constructing the shelters at educational institutions. 10 educational institutions were equipped and refurbished with the help of UNICEF and DECIDE projects, our international donors. The works in creating as secure and safe conditions as possible will continue, and it can change the dynamics of work of educational institutions. Jointly with State Emergency Service, every educational institution is equipped with safety classrooms. 1,200 educational institutions have the emergency button to call the police, and 1,000 institutions have surveillance cameras. It is clear that the organization of the educational process within the new academic year will depend on the specific security situation in every settlement of our region. The decision on the format of general education institutions relied on the survey of parents, and we brought together parents to outline the organization of the process. So according to the information from territorial bodies, 607 institutions will start the academic year. 555 institutions will work full-time. 52 will use mixed format. 475 preschool institutions will work offline. The high institutions will mix both online and offline, while 13 higher education institutions will switch to the regular format of work. On the 1st of September, we will have the Day of Knowledge, but they can only be carried out with the provision of security measures. At the initiative of the First Lady, Olena Zelenska, the first lesson will be focused on mental health, which is particularly important during the wartime. According to the recommendation of Ministry of Education, there will be events dedicated to the defenders of Ukraine. In 2023, Odesa military administration purchased 28 school buses that are handed over to the educational institutions. Besides, the local governments sponsored the purchase of 8 school buses, and they're thankful to our international partners for giving us 2 buses that will bring children to the educational institutions. Currently, the 6-year books are provided to the schools. We also got the books on the Ukrainian language for the 5th year. So as soon as tomorrow, they will hand it over to the educational institutions. It is under my personal control and our department's ones. We have taken measures to improve the nutrition of children, the diet of children, and 69 institutions joined UN program, this basic kitchen and the опорная кухня. So we continue our work as for introduction of electronic diaries and record books across all the generally education, secondary education institutions, and our target is to integrate all the school to this united digital platform. As of now, 7,279 students and teachers got the gadgets, and we plan to reopen 8 educational centers. Since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, 76 buildings were damaged. Now 18 were fully recovered, and would like to bring the attention of our residents that the worst damaged buildings are those that were damaged during this summer, and 3 are including in the UNDP program for reconstruction. According to the decree of Cabinet of Ministers, the Odesa military administration regulates the specifics of educational institution work during the academic year amid martial law. We're overcoming today challenges, but along with that, we dream about the reconstruction. And the opportunity to teach and study is a part of this reconstruction. Today, each achievement at each tear and smile are dedicated to victory. I would like to use this opportunity to thank all the educators, every technical assistants there who were working 24/7 to provide for full-time, offline format at our school. Thank you to our defenders, and live happily and create and education and the new 2023-2024 academic year. May it bring only positive news. Thank you. I can see we have the questions, please. Hello, Vera Zaporozhets, a journalist. You mentioned that the process is still undergoing as for equipping the shelters, and there is a chance that during the process some schools will be equipped to continue or refurbished, and how the parents can accelerate if they want to do that. And What is the practice overall for handing over of commissioning it to the department? I will give the example. There is the school number 52 next to Grushevsky Library, and it is very apparent that the shelter can be equipped there, but they plan to bring children to the other school from several hundreds of meters. You know that the basement system in Odesa are sometimes interconnected, so library is not accepting yet. The parents are veterans and some of the militaries, and the premise that could be equipped as shelter is now going to be the shisha house. So how could parents reach out some authorities to help with that? And what are the procedures to make it quicker or to change the situation? Because I believe there will be the point where the parents prevent from opening the shisha house. Thank you for the question. You please reach out to Odesa Regional Council as the founder of educational institutions, and with a request to hand over this premise to the Department of Education and the Regional Council. We have the presidents in other schools. I know that there are buildings that are already handed over to Odesa Regional Council, and they are currently being equipped as shelters. Of course, the education institutions that are going to work offline will be increasing because we expand the capacity of shelters and also build the shelters. The recent decree of Cabinet of Ministers provided for schools in Kuyalinsk community 4 million hryvnia from the state budget to equip the shelters, to build the shelters. But we realize that the construction works are not quick. It takes time. So by the end of school year in Kuyalinsk, the community will get shelters. Same situation is in Odesa. We realize that the overhaul of the shelter or its expansion can be provided by certain refurbishing. The cement of the flooring, it takes time for it to dry. It takes some time, so opening shelters will be a little bit delayed. According to my information, we're going to commission 116 shelters, so the number of children at schools will expand. We know that there will be shifts at school. The primary school will be the first shift, and the high school will study in the afternoon. And if we can expand the capacity of shelters, it will increase number of children that go to school in the morning. If I may, could you please comment the situation with this Miradima LLC that had the agreement for assembling modular shelters in 3 locations? Today, Dumska mentioned that these were pilot shelters, but in fact, they ended up not ready for the academic year. This is Fontansky Lyceum, 112 daycare, and school number 22. Well, they may be not completed. There was the audit by the State Emergency Service, and they provided recommendations as for what is supposed to be completed and done so that the modular shelters meet all the requirements to provide security for all education process participants. So regional city council will take into consideration these comments, and in the nearest weeks, these shelters will be open. So some clarification. You mentioned 607 schools are ready around the region. 140 may be ready until the 1st of October. How many are not possible to open? We can say are not ready. So we surveyed the parents and we formed the remote classes and schools from the general network of 7 and 8 schools. 52 will work in the mixed format of integrating remote and offline. The number of 160 institutions that will get their shelters equipped. It's not only about construction, but also expanding the capacity to increase the number of educational process participants that can be at school at the same time. The second question is staffing, the faculty. What is the situation? What subjects are short of the teachers? I keep mentioning that the situation with the educational employees was problematic even before the war. We had the vacancies open and the sciences and mathematics, but these days I would like to say 227 new teachers, the fresh graduates from our universities and pedagogical academies. The largest number of teachers that were short of are the English teachers and the science teachers. Thank you. If there are no questions, thank you for sharing this information with us. Thank you for preparing this course in Odesa region, to you and all the teams that prepare these courses. Thank you. Our next briefing will be on 1 p.m. and we will be joined by the National Guard of Ukraine. We will speak about the recruiting to the 11th Brigade of the National Guard. Stay with us. It will be interesting.